Welcome to the Blossom Mindset, the path to blossoming into your fullest potential through everyday actions. I am your host, Lindsay, a behavior analyst, certified clinical trauma specialist, author, and entrepreneur. My passion is helping people create meaningful, positive change. Using a behavior analytic approach, I guide individuals to uncover their values, build self-awareness, and take intentional steps towards their goals and building their skill set. This podcast reminds you that you don't have to face life's challenges alone and is here to help you take the first steps towards meaningful change by increasing self-awareness and shifting your mindset with support and no judgment. Together, we'll explore topics like identifying your values, setting realistic goals, and learning practical tools to increase mindfulness and shift your mindset towards a more meaningful life. With guest speakers and actionable strategies, each episode helps you break through internal and external barriers, offering easy steps to create a life aligned with what matters most. This is the Blossom Mindset Podcast, your path to blossoming into your fullest potential, one action at a time. Let's get started. This is a friendly reminder that the information shared on the Blossom Mindset is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a one-size-fits-all approach and is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Remember, this is not a therapy session and is simply for educational purposes and serves as an additional resource for you. Your well-being is important to us, and reaching out for the right support is a vital step in your journey. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Blossom Mindset. I'm your host, Lindsay, and I am excited as we are now into 2026. Well, recording this, I'm still in 2025, but whenever this comes out, we're going to be in 2026. And that is that new beginning of the year, and I'm really excited to delve into this episode. I know going into the new year, a fun thing I know a lot of us girlies do is to get together and make those 2026 or New Year's vision boards, which I think is awesome. I love doing that. I did it last year and made it my laptop screen background. So I made a digital version for my laptop screen background. So I saw it every day throughout the new year, multiple times a day if I was opening up my computer for work. And it was truly a game changer of seeing those reminders of what I had visioned for 2025. And the majority of it came to life by the end of the year. And thinking about that and why I want to delve into it, it's not just about vision. You can have those vision boards and they can be your background screen. They can be hanging up on your wall that you see first thing in the morning. But until you start taking intentional action towards those visions, that's all they're going to be is visions. You have to act on and start moving forward towards creating that if they're going to become a reality. If you have those visions, but you sit back and you're not intentionally acting in those areas or those domains or pathways in your life, you can't expect them to become a vision. It may be, 10 years down the line, maybe it will, but you can't guarantee that it will. So I really want to take that and switch that mindset into or from vision to action. Being able to visualize, I think, is really, really important because you're training those pathways in your brain to say, this is what I want. This is what I want to come to life. Now, the next step is to create that action with those visions. So maybe you are visualizing for 2026 that you want a new house. Okay, that's awesome. Now, what are those steps that you're going to take to get there? Are you going to pick up another job to have the income? Are you planning on buying it with somebody else? So making sure that everything is in order for that. Are you wanting to just buy any house? Or are you wanting to buy a house in the city or the country? So taking those steps to figure out what you want to come to life is going to be important on creating that forward action. You can say you want a house all you want, but if you're not applying for the loan or having the income for it or switching those areas of your life that you need to for that to come into play, it's not going to happen. Maybe it falls in your hands somehow. That would be lovely if life could work out that way. But unfortunately, that's not reality. So being able to take those visions and make it a reality, it's on you. I can't do it for you. Only you can do it for you. That's where it comes back to what you have control over in your life. And that is your behaviors, your actions, how you respond to your thoughts and feelings. You could sit there and you could do nothing, but that's your choice, right? It's not my choice for you to sit down and do nothing. You have to act and you have to intentionally choose how you move forward. And that is how you are turning your vision into that reality. Take those baby steps forward, going back to what we talked about in the last episode of reinforcing yourself on those steps, those small checkpoints as you get there, so it doesn't feel as daunting or you end up giving up because it's more reinforcing to give up and avoid. Take those small steps, reinforce yourself, and start to turn your vision into reality. So, thinking about some of my past visions, I guess. And first off, I never thought that I would. I mean, there was a part of me that had always had an entrepreneurial mindset, right? Ever since I was young, I was always creating and always finding ways to make money from, I mean, even in elementary school, I would kind of had my own little business in elementary school with selling crafts. And I never thought I'd be owning a whole coaching therapy practice. And that's where I had to choose and make those choices forward to turn what ended up becoming a vision into reality. It didn't happen overnight. I had to open up and form my practice. I had to get all the insurances set. I had to build a website. I had to find and market to clients. And over time, that business has developed to the point where I'm sitting with y'all today, being able to share my voice and have this podcast, which wasn't a part of the original vision. And that's where it comes back to being able to shift and shape and create that life that you want. But it starts with you and it starts with you acting forward. Again, you can visualize it, but until you start taking those actions, you're not going to get to where you want to be. So I think back to, I think it was about a year ago, I was sitting down with one of my favorite business mentors, and she's like, you got to get a podcast out there. You have to do it. And we were in this whole planning phase a year ago, and it took probably, thinking back, I think it was about 8 months because I think I launched it in August, but it was 8 months of planning because I was so nervous to actually get it out there. I was having those internal feelings of what if no one wants to hear my voice? What if I get judged? What if it doesn't expand, or what if I shouldn't do it? And that's what stopped me. So that reinforcement of avoidance was a lot easier. I was reinforcing those negative thought patterns. It took for me to shape those thoughts of, it doesn't matter how many people are sitting here listening. I know that I've touched at least one person because I have at least one person that has come to me and said that this has helped them in their journey. Multiple, but regardless, I think that you have to be able to shape your mindset in order to act forward as well. Again, it was easier for me to sit there for months and avoid because I was reinforcing myself in a negative way than being able to say, you know what, I'm getting my voice out there. I am helping other people. If someone's judging me because I stumbled over a word, or I messed up with editing, or I rambled and said the wrong thing, that's okay. That's a life. And I think being able to showcase the obstacles, the challenges, the growth is really important to relate and connect with others. It's not going to be this perfect cookie cutter thing in life with a lot of the visions as well, or a lot of the different areas. I think it's important to be relatable, and that's what I want to do, is be able to share and be relatable with others. And again, it took me shaping my own mindset and acting. I had to get that first episode out there. I had to publish it, right? That was an action. That vision didn't turn into reality until I acted upon it. So I want you to think about that as you are creating those 2026 vision boards of how you can create and outline those steps to act forward on those different visions that you have listed or pictured, and putting it in a spot where you are going to see it. It's going to be a reminder. And then coming back to those small attainable steps. Um, Launching a podcast, that's a big step, big goal, but breaking it down into what I needed to do first and into those smaller steps are what's needed for that long-term outcome or goal to be achieved. So breaking it down further, that's getting the equipment, getting a platform to record, sitting down and scripting and creating episodes and re-recording, 10, 15 times at first until I got the hang of how to work the platform. And that's okay. You have to start somewhere. And I think that's an important reminder as we're going into the new year of you have to start somewhere. You don't always need this big plan to get started. Sometimes it's getting started with one small action. I know for me, one quality that I had was everything needed to be planned. If it did not go as planned, I was not okay. And that was years and years until recently. I think starting the business was a big part of that because it taught me that I have to be flexible. I have to shift. If it's not going to go how I originally expect it, always, right? We're going to come into obstacles, we're going to come into barriers. And being able to be flexible through that creates so much more with whatever you're doing. You don't have to have this grand plan to get started. You just have to start somewhere. I even think about back to when I moved back in 2020. I didn't have a plan. I moved across the country within the matter of, honestly, I think a couple months. I had a job, I had an apartment that I had never seen, signed the lease, and here we are. That's where Blossom started, was after the move. Um, and it wasn't a part of the original plan. I eventually was like, all right, I need a change. I need to move. Here we go. And it's one of the best things that's ever happened. I had somewhat of a plan, um, but it wasn't a full plan. And I think that's where having that flexibility in your own life can create so much more for yourself and in alignment too, because as you grow, you're shifting internally and externally. Thinking back to where I was even mentally, internally, 5, 10 years ago, such a big change. I honestly sometimes don't even recognize who I was 5, 10 years ago. And I think that's important to remember on our own journeys. And as we're comparing maybe ourselves to ourselves or ourselves to other people, you have come a long way. You're always growing. And if you are intentional about it, you're growing in that forward direction. Now, there's that other direction of you could grow out of alignment with yourself. And that's where you have to retrack and get back on path, right? Maybe what you visualize, you're growing in a different way and reflecting for yourself. Is this the path I want to be on, or is this not the path I want to be on? And then redirect that back into that action towards the path you want to be on. Again, you can visualize it. And I think it's great to visualize it because it gives you a sense of where you want to be and it's developing those positive pathways in your brain. But at the same time, you have to act on it, or you're acting out of alignment, or you're moving in a different way. And you can shift your visions too over time. Just because you have this 2026 vision board and so many different things on it, it doesn't mean that 6 months down the line, you can't switch it up a little bit. Maybe what you originally visualize is different than what you are wanting in the current present moment. And that's okay. That's where it comes back to still acting forward, moving forward towards where you want to be, and taking those visualizations and creating that action. Again, the big theme of this episode is you can visualize it all you want, but until you act on it, that's all it is a visualization, a dream, and it's just sitting there waiting for you to start acting forward. So I encourage you, as you are building these 2026 vision boards, get together with your friends, get together with other people, or even by yourself to reflect on what is that vision that you want to make a reality. And then from there, start to create that plan. Maybe surround some of your New Year's goals or your resolutions around that plan for what you want to become a reality for your life, those visions that you see and that you feel. And even thinking back on those feelings, what you vision should feel good. It shouldn't feel icky or out of alignment for yourself. So think about what feels good for you and what direction you want to head forward. So all those things that you want to put on that vision board should feel refreshing, should feel grounding, should feel exciting for yourself. And start to put that into action, start to make them a reality because it's on you. Remember, you are the only one in control of your actions. Nobody else can act forward and turn them into reality for you. I mean, unless you have someone buying you a house, but then that would be nice. But again, that's not really always a reality for everybody. So you have that control for yourself to act forward and turn that vision into a reality. And I'm excited to see what this year is going to bring. I know we're in the year of the horse, which is all about new beginnings. So take this as new beginning for yourself and start to leave everything behind in 2025, start fresh if you need to, and move forward. Take that vision and start to really make it your reality, one action at a time. Thank you for tuning in today. I am so excited to see where your 2026 year is going to take you, and I am very excited to share a lot of big shifts that are happening within Blossom this year along the journey. So until next time, keep blossoming and start making that vision your reality. Thank you for joining in on this episode of The Blossom Mindset with me. I hope that our discussion has inspired you to take actionable steps towards blossoming into your fullest potential. Don't forget, the best way to show your support is by liking, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review on this podcast. Feel free to drop any ideas for future podcast topics by commenting on my most recent Instagram post of this episode. If you are interested in additional resources or one-to-one coaching, check out our website linked in the show notes. I am so proud of you. By tuning in and listening, you just took one small, actionable step forward towards blossoming into your fullest potential.